Three-time Naismith Coach of the Year, three-time national champion, gold medal Olympic coach, and the winningest coach in women's basketball, and this year's national champion coach, Tara VanDerveer of Stanford. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here with you. And we're really excited about what our team accomplished. And I just have to kind of pinch myself a little bit.
Yeah, you should be. You should be. It's crazy. I mean, this is 36 hours ago now. It's not too often that we get to have someone who has accomplished such a thing 36 hours after their win. Have you slept at all?
I have to say, being down for 3 weeks in San Antonio, it was exhausting. So yes, I did. When we got home, I went to bed early and I slept in, and it felt great.
You are the winningest coach, like I mentioned, in women's basketball history. But actually, your longest standing record came in 1967, where you set the Chautauqua Boys and Girls Club record for the softball throw event. Apparently, no one has ever broken that. Where does that stand in your list of accolades?
That's up there. How do you know about that?
I have to, when I have a legend on, I have to do my research. I am very nervous that I might not have enough research done on you and you will expose me for the fraud that I am. So,
well, I have gone to Chautauqua since I was 8 years old, and it is something that I'm proud of. And when I walk my dogs and I have people that are visiting, I'll go and show them that little record that's up on the Boys and Girls Club wall. So it's just something that's kind of funny and fun.
It's a long time to hold a record, and everybody says records are made to be broken. I would imagine in your book they are not. You would like to keep that record.
Well, maybe they just don't do the event anymore. So whatever it is, I still have it. So I'm excited about that. But obviously, what our team accomplished this year is, especially under the COVID situations,
for sure.
I'm really proud of that too.
Yeah, you've been, under your watch, Stanford has been to the Final Four 13 times. You've gone to the championship 5 times. Too many times, actually, to count the Elite 8 and the Sweet 16. Like, you just can't even, you look at the Wikipedia, it's just, you don't even want to count them all up. That's how many it is. So all of that to say, Stanford is a powerhouse. And I would venture to guess not too many powerhouses want parity. Makes it harder for them to continue their reign. But not you. You have been very vocal about wanting more parity in the women's sport, even though it makes it harder to recruit, makes it harder to continue success. Why is that so important and so critical for the women's game?
I think that, first of all, I'm really excited that our conference had 2 teams in the championship game. And for a long time, Stanford was viewed as the kind of, Stanford was the only team in the Pac-10 or Pac-12 that was competitive. And, there were 9 other or 11 other like little teams. And that has never been true. But I think that I see that if there's excitement about women's basketball throughout the country, not just the same old teams, then that's a good thing for women's basketball. And I think to have a bigger view of it than just your own team is important.
A lot of people would argue, though, that viewers like dynasties, that they like super teams, they like duos. Everybody's very excited, obviously, about Paige and Ozzy pairing up next year at UConn. In your view, is that just not true? That the basketball as a whole is better for the viewer when there's more teams that possibly wouldn't be considered as elite?
Well, there's a lot more to women's basketball than just one team or a couple of teams.
Yep.
And I think by constantly promoting one team or the same teams, we're missing the view of what women's basketball is. Women's basketball is a lot of great teams, a lot of great players. And it's, that's the reality. But, if we just keep promoting one player or one team, I think it's to the women's basketball's detriment.
At what point in your career did you realize that you were an integral part of building the women's game and creating that progress?
I think I've always known that. I think I've always been kind of looked at the big picture and wanted things to be great for, great for women's sports. I'm not sure if you're aware, but, with the Women's Sports Foundation, we have a legacy coaching fund, and it's not just for women's basketball, it's for all sports. So I feel like I am, cognizant of the disparity between men's and women's athletics over across the board, not just women's basketball.
Yeah, that was seen in the bubble. You were very vocal about that. NCAA had to have known what they were doing, and they just thought that they weren't going to get called on it. Do you agree?
I think they set themselves up for that kind of bad publicity, and I think it is unfortunate. I think that there was a lot of work that went into the both tournaments, but a lot of work that went into the women's tournament that maybe people felt that it wasn't appreciated, when in fact that was. But there was such disparity, whether it's the promotion of the games, whether it's whether it's a weight room, whether it was the food, whether it was the testing, the branding on the floors, the entertainment that was seen, on the men's tournament, not seen on the women's tournament. And it is something that I think came to a head because of the COVID, and because you have these bubbles. It wasn't like games were happening all over the place. And women's basketball has done things differently than the men's, but when you are in a bubble and you're doing it the same, then I think you have to do it the same.
You have the longest, I'm sure people have said this a million times to you. You are very well aware that you have the longest gap between championships, 29 years. I'm sure, I don't know if that's a good thing to you or a bad thing to you, but how it's impressive to have the ability to win championships in different eras and different stages of the women's game that, like I said, you've been so a part of shepherding. How do you be a part of that shepherding and also adapt as that change is happening as a coach and also a leader of the game?
Well, if you think about it, I was the coach of a team that won really before there was even email or cell phones. I had an opportunity to be a head coach at a very young age, and that I think is part of it. And I think that we had opportunities. We've had great teams, and to win a national championship, I think the stars have to be in alignment. You have to have you can't have injuries. You have to have matchups that are favorable to you. You have to, you really have to have everything go right. And for us, easily we could have lost to Louisville in our Sweet 16 game. We could have lost to South Carolina. We could have lost to Arizona. So, there are games that we could have lost. And maybe there are teams in the other side of the bracket that might have been bad matchups for us. So, but, we did win it, and we won it in COVID, which I think even it'll have an asterisk by it in a way, because this was a different championship, but in a lot of ways it was a harder championship.
100%.
And we're really proud of that.
100%. I mean, Northern California was the most strict on COVID pretty much in the country. And you're right there in the heart of Palo Alto, which, what do you say, 9 weeks on the road?
It was even a little longer than that. Yes.
Do you think this is the most difficult championship that you've had to win?
The most difficult?
Difficult? Yeah. Do you think that this was the most difficult for you as a coach?
Definitely. In 1990, we had the earthquake in Northern California. So one of my former players teased and said, that we win national championships when we have national emergencies, national disasters. So I'm the national disaster coach of the year. In
1990, you were asked by a journalist whether you would coach a D1 men's team, that's a long time ago. And the quote, I'm sure, I don't know if you remember it. You said, I'm open to it. I love the job that I have now. I love being a role model for these young ladies. And if someone offered me a job coaching men that would double my salary in a place where I would want to live, I would definitely be interested. And I have a lot of confidence that I could do the job. But unfortunately, this is the part that I find really interesting. College coaching is the last bastion of chauvinism, sexism, and racism, and it is still alive and well. Those words still true to this day, yeah?
Yeah, definitely.
That was 30
I think
plus years ago.
I think professional sports has made, understands maybe the importance of diverse coaching staffs, diverse in not just racial diversity, but gender diversity too. And a lot of, different women are getting a chance at the professional level, which maybe then someday will, kind of filter down to collegiate level. But, I'm very happy doing the job I'm doing. I love watching women's basketball. I love coaching women's basketball. And, there's just we have a lot of growth to do, and it's fun to be part of it.
Yeah. To me, the more you talk about it, the more I feel like the game needs you. Like, even if you could coach men's D1, even if you could coach the NBA, that there's a part of you that wants to stick with the women's sport because you're sort of tied to it as a leader and sort of the flagship of that. You agree?
Mm-hmm. Right. I agree. I think the other thing that is, I think that in a lot of ways that question was asked with the idea that men's basketball is better to coach than women's basketball. That
For
men's
sure.
basketball
That's implicit in that question, is it not?
Right. And so I want to make it implicit in my answer that I don't see it that way any more than if you're a professor at Stanford and you have men or women in your class, coaching to me is teaching and bringing out the best in the students that you have. And it's not, to me, it's, equally rewarding.
Do you think we're close to seeing a woman coach the NBA at the head coaching level?
I definitely think that will happen. But I think that, some of it is giving women the opportunity, there are a lot of things that are happening right now where women are being accepted as leaders. We have a female vice president, which is thrilling. Hopefully we'll have a female president. I think we should have. Our life would be better if we had. But, I think it's a situation where people have to just change some of their attitudes.
When you first started coaching to begin with, and you knew that this was going to be your lifelong mission to a degree, what was your vision of what the women's game could and would become, and what you were hoping to push it towards being? And how far do you think we are from that vision now?
Well, when you're 25 years old, I don't know that you have vision. I'm not sure you're visionary. I was a head coach when I was 25 years old at Idaho. Facts. And, in 1978, and I was thrilled to be coaching at Idaho, to have a team that it was just it was fun. And the way I look at it was it beat getting a job. It was going to the gym, doing things that I loved. And, I didn't have this big idea, I'm going to change the world. I just was trying to survive day by day. Yeah. And I'm kind of a in the moment person, and I want to enjoy the process, the journey. I'm not always thinking about what the end game is.
It's interesting. I don't know if you know this, but this is the only female-led MBA podcast, period. And I don't think about that at all. And other people around me have to tell me how impactful that is.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that it's, like my email box, my text messages. I mean, there are a lot of women in this world who struggle, not because they're not competent, but because they're not given opportunity. And they are not paid what they should be paid. They're not given management positions. They're not given, the opportunity to do things, not because they're not capable, but because of the old boys network or whatever. And so when they see you doing your job, or when they see me doing my job, we're inspiration to them. And they need that. Not that they should need that, but they do. Hopefully that is helpful for them to go in and, battle for a raise, or, remind themselves that they're very capable and be confident.
I'd love to hear a little bit about when you were young. I thought that this story about how you broke into basketball as a player was sort of a testament to how you were going to attack the rest of your life, which is finding a workaround, right? I think we as women find workarounds to get to what is equal or to some level of parity. You bought the nicest basketball that you could, so that everyone would want to choose you on the team, even though that was not what they were inclined to do on their own with their own free will.
When I was little, my parents didn't have. Parents didn't have we didn't have a hoop in our driveway, so I always had to go and play with at the neighbor hoop. And the boys at the time, you're 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 years old. And mostly as I got older, it was just boys playing, and, they didn't want me to play, but I would bring the best basketball. And if they wanted to use my ball, then I got to play. And you do have to figure out ways to get in the game. And I figured that one out, but it wasn't because I wasn't good enough. In my ninth grade yearbook, which we didn't have the boys had a seventh grade team, an eighth grade team, a freshman team, a JV team, and a varsity team. And as girls, we had play day. But the gym class, the boys basketball coach and gym teacher wrote in my ninth grade yearbook, to the best basketball player in the ninth grade, boy or a girl. And the boys knew I was good. And I love to play, and I studied the game. So I didn't really have good timing as a player in terms of playing, with scholarships and on television and all the things, but I did have good timing as a coach.
How important was it for you to be an international coach? And
that was a tremendous experience. For me, first we took our Stanford team, the first international trip, I believe took our Stanford team to China and played against fabulous competition. I mean, our Stanford team would eventually win a national championship in 1990, but we went over in 1988, and we got blasted by everyone we played.
Wow.
But they had great teams, and they had the 3-point line internationally. And then we adopted the 3-point line in college basketball that next year. And I think that really helped us win a national championship, playing against teams that, one player alone made 10 threes against us. So I'm like, we're going to shoot threes. And we did. And that's how we won our first championship in 1990. Then I had the experience of coaching, obviously, USA teams. I went all over the world. We played in Yugoslavia. We played in Russia. We went to England. We played in France, Italy, Lithuania, Brazil, big championships in Australia, China. We played everywhere, and it was great to watch, to get the styles from different teams, and also, to have the best players in the world to coach. It was awesome.
So that trip abroad really changed and modernized your team moving forward.
Well, I think that for me, I'm a copier. So I'll watch what other teams do and copy the good things that they do and the things that seem to fit our team. And I still do that. I watch games and I'll say, oh, that play would work for us, and we'll steal it. So, there's no patents in basketball. You can just flat out steal plays from people.
Is your experience overseas why you pressed the Olympic Committee to allow an entire year for those women to play together, because you knew what that stage and what that level of competition was going to be like versus just putting a team together for like 2 weeks?
Well, that wasn't my decision. That was USA Basketball when our women's team got a bronze, and then we were playing. The next Olympics was in Atlanta. I think the committee just said, "Hey, we want to win this Olympics. We've got to make some changes. What do we need to do?" And it just so happened that, that fit my personality and my coaching style to really be thorough and, not just roll the ball out there and hope that your athletes, and not even give them a chance. The rest of the world practiced together, and we didn't give our athletes a chance. We had the best players in the world, but if you don't practice together and you don't train together and you don't play together, basketball is a team game, and it's a lot more than just great individuals out there.
You have been in a ton of tight games, even in this tournament specifically, and in the Final Four. I think what was really interesting to me watching the championship game back is how you approached that defense with 5.5 seconds left. You called that final play. Everyone knew Aerie was going to get the ball. You pressured the inbounds. You took away the cutter, bumped her off, and then threw the book at Aerie. Basically created a tent around her. Like she was.
And she still got the shot up.
Couldn't believe it. Could not believe it.
And almost made it.
If Aerie hits that shot, do you basically say that was a perfect game plan? That was exactly what we wanted to happen. We're just going to take the L and go home. Tip our cap.
Well, I don't know what else we could have done. We tried not to let her get the ball to begin with, and you can't leave other people wide open at the rim. We worked really hard not to get it. And then, basically I just said, she's going to get the ball. We've got to defend her. And I think Kiana saw that Lexi could go, and she said, go trap her. And Lexi left her player, and Key rotated up, and another player came up too, I think Cam, and, did present, and it could have been, it could have gone in, and you wouldn't be talking to me.
Maybe I still would. Probably I still would.
No, you wouldn't be. You'd be talking to Adia. But, it was, sometimes again, I just say, the stars have to be in alignment. And we had dodged 2 big basket winners for South Carolina in the game before.
Yep, those bunnies.
We've been down 12 against Louisville and came back. So, sometimes you just have to have some, be fortunate and good karma. And, you create, there's a saying.
You believe in karma?
Do I believe in karma?
Yeah.
Probably a little bit. But there's a saying that before we went to the tournament, I make Rice Krispie treats for our team, and I put M&Ms in them.
Bomb.
And they're really good. Our team really likes them a lot. And so I gave our team this, and every player had a quote with their little Rice Krispie treat bag. And one of the quotes is, "The harder I work, the luckier I get." And we were very fortunate in that game, but we worked really hard in that game too.
Yeah, that was a tough win. If you were on the other side, so say Adia calls that play, does the same thing, or say you're the head coach of Arizona at this point and you know what the scheme is. How do you counterattack that? Is there any way to scheme against that?
Well, I think there probably are, in a way that, I think if, as an example, if they had come into someone else and they fake a handoff to Aerie and our whole team goes with her, and then someone else can win for a basket, but that might have left time on the clock for us to then take a timeout in advance. And that's something that I think, you have this in the pro game, but in the college game, the men don't have the advancing rule. And I think it's a great, great thing for women's basketball. And it keeps it much more interesting.
Absolutely. I think also there was a gal in the corner that could have come up and set a screen, and then all those 3 gals that were triple teaming her would have been closed out, and she could have rolled over and hit a mid-range too. So
everything happens really fast.
yeah,
you know?
it does.
And if that had happened, one of our players would have switched onto her or whatever. But
yeah,
I think everyone in the whole arena knew she was taking the shot.
Yeah.
And that works for you and that works against you.
For sure. Well, congratulations, Coach. I really appreciate it, and continued success.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming on. All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening and watching this league on YouTube. If you like this content, please hit the subscribe button right here. More content will come your way straight to your feed. Thanks for watching.